All right, so it's time for our first series preview of 4 here for the second round, and we're starting off with the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers. Now, this is a series that has been heavily anticipated. I think it might be the best series of this second round, to be honest with you. And these are two teams that don't like each other at all, which is kind of wild because they really haven't played that much in the playoffs. They've only played once before, and it was in 2023 where Florida won that series 4-1. Now, since then, things have changed. Toronto has struggled still, and Florida has won a Stanley Cup and has been to 2 Cup finals since the last time that they played. One of those Cup finals being in the year that they played. So, overall, both teams are in a way different spot. I would say Toronto is better, but Florida is also better. Let's start off with the Maple Leafs, though, because they are divisional winners of the Atlantic Division. They went 52, 26, and 4 for 108 points during the regular season. They were the first Atlantic seed team. They scored 268 goals and allowed 231. So overall, they were a very good team, and they were a team in the regular season that I think a lot of their negatives were more pointed out than their positives, but overall, it was a very good regular season by Toronto, and I think that that's carried on into the playoffs, especially through the first round. So they obviously defeated the Ottawa Senators in 6 games, and that was a very highly contested, highly competitive series. I didn't think the Leafs were like the greatest team in the world through a lot of those games, but they still won the series. They still played better than they had to against Ottawa, and they did a good job at moving on here to the second round, and now is the real test for them. So, going through the overall analytical numbers with this team, let's start off with the regular season numbers because I think that's a better way to look at it. They scored an average of 3.26 goals per game, which is very good. That number has gone down a little bit in the playoffs. It's now 3.17, which is a little bit expected. You're not going to keep up your goal scoring pace unless you're the Florida Panthers. You're overall going to just, kind of go down a little bit because you're playing better teams more often and better goaltenders most of the time more often. So overall there for the Maple Leafs, not really a surprise that those numbers went down. The goals against, though, actually went down as well. Only a little bit, though. They had a 2.79 goals against in the regular season, and then a 2.67 in the playoffs. So that has gone down there as well, and that's a very good thing. Again, you want that to go down. You don't want that to go up, obviously. And it's not up by like a sizable margin, only like 0.13, but still, it shows how good Anthony Stolarz really has been throughout a lot of these games during these playoffs. They had a 24.8 power play percentage, which was pretty bad at the beginning of the season, got better in the second half of the year. In the playoffs, 35.3. Now, I get it, it's only in 6 games, but going up basically 11% on the power play is phenomenal, and that should not be taken lightly at all. That should not be taken lightly whatsoever. Going up that high in terms of percentages is pretty impressive. And I think it shows just how much this team has improved throughout from the beginning of the season up until now, to be honest with you guys. And their penalty kill has gotten better there as well. It was 77.9 in the regular season. It was 80% in the playoffs. So overall, a good 3% increase there. But overall, their numbers got better in most aspects except for the goals for. Just overall, everything looks really good there for the Maple Leafs here heading into this series. Now, Florida, on the other hand, still a very good team. Do not underestimate Florida whatsoever in this series. They went 47, 31, and 4 for 98 points. They were the 3rd seed in the Atlantic Division. They scored 252 goals and allowed 223. So overall there, the Panthers did very good in the regular season. What really kind of made people doubt them was how they were playing heading into the playoffs. They were really struggling. There were a lot of injuries there. There were guys that weren't really healthy. They were in a playoff spot, but they were falling back in the standings a little bit, and it was getting a little bit concerning. And you saw the way Tampa Bay was playing and how good they looked. And they came into game 1 and dominated. And it's just crazy how a team like that can just, with the flip of a switch, actually wake up and start playing playoff hockey. It's crazy that a team like Florida can do that. It's kind of surprising, to be honest with you. I thought they were going to roll over and lose this series just with the way they were playing in the regular season. Or maybe it's just because I want to see another team win the Cup and not Florida this year. But overall, how they came back from that is just so impressive. Now, they scored an average of 3 goals per game in the regular season. In the playoffs, 3.8. That's a pretty big increase. That's a 0.8% increase from what you had last year or in the regular season. Pretty impressive, but then again, it is in 5 games. You scored, I think, 4 goals in every game but one. So overall, they played very well throughout the entire stretch of this series and the season as well. They allowed an average of 2.72 goals against per game. In the playoffs, 2.4. So that number went down there as well. Their numbers, again, all of them look good. They're better than Toronto's, if we're being completely honest with you. So, their numbers increased there as well in the goals against. In the power play, they were 23.5% in the regular season, which is actually worse than Toronto's last year. And then this year on the power play, they're 25%. So 1 in every 4 power plays, you're getting a goal there from Florida. It's not as great as Toronto's, but it's still very good for sure. And then their PK, 80.7%, bumped up 8%, 88.9, nearly 9%, honestly. So they have a really good penalty kill, and I think that's going to be something we're going to have to look at here heading into this series. Toronto has a very good power play in these playoffs. Florida has a very good PK. Who's going to come out on top? I guess we'll find out, to be honest with you. So you look at the scores for each team, and we did things a little bit different here. We have their regular season stats put it up, and then we also have their playoff stats here as well. So we'll start with Toronto. You have Mitch Marner leading the way, 27 goals, 75 assists for 102 points in the regular season. He had 1 goal, 7 assists, 8 points in the playoffs. He's been a phenomenal player this year in the playoffs, making moves, passing the puck, not necessarily scoring goals, but overall, I think he's been a very solid, highly offensively touted player there for sure, and has been somebody that I've been a big fan of watching on this run. William Nylander as well. I mean, again, the core four is going to be the primary sense of topic here. 45 goals, 39 assists, 84 points in the regular season. This year in the playoffs, 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 points. So again, Nylander had a very good analytics numbers there with Toronto and has been unreal in these playoffs. He's always been great. He's always been really good. And when the pressure has come on, Nylander, I feel like, has been the only one that has really shown up most of the time in these games that have been played. Austin Matthews, 33 goals, 45 assists, 78 points in the regular season, 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points in the playoffs. Matthews coming off of a little bit of a slower year here in the regular season, just with the injuries and all that. Only had 33 goals, which I think is a career low for him. And then obviously in the playoffs, doesn't score like the most on the team, but still scores a good amount and then gets 7 points with 5 assists there as well. That does matter. And again, your core four already from that tallies up about over 20 points. That's pretty good, honestly, through a first-round series. I get it's Ottawa and a team that did not have any playoff experience prior, and a lot of those points may have come in game one. But I think overall it's a major positive there to see that these guys are really performing this year, finally. John Tavares, 38 goals, 36 assists, 74 points in the regular season. They had 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points in the playoffs. I think Tavares has been a very good player, and I think he's probably proven his worth for Toronto to keep him and bring him back next year. I think that has been settled, to be honest. So that's probably going to happen when we see the Maple Leaf season end, whether they win the cup or they're knocked out in the round or whatever. And then Matthew Knies, 29 goals, 29 assists, 58 points as well. Had 3 goals for 3 points in the playoffs too. Knies, very good playoff player, has been somebody that I've really enjoyed throughout these playoffs, and just seeing how, as a young kid, he can play the way he does with the hitting and the physicality and then score as well. It's very impressive. So Toronto has a good top 6 there, a good team that they're building in front of that. As well as that, too, a big contributor to why this team has been so good is the defense. Morgan Rielly, Simone Benoit, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson have combined for a total amount of 7 points. Just those 3 guys have 7 points for these first 6 games. That is the same amount as Matthews, more than Tavares, and more than Knies. It's very impressive there. And one of the biggest things that we've seen in previous years with Toronto when they lost in the first round was that they didn't get any production from their back end. They didn't get anything, like close to nothing they got from their back end. And seeing Benoit scoring the Game 3 overtime winner. You saw Ekman-Larsson score the first goal of the series against Ottawa, and then the tying goal in Game 4. You saw Morgan Rielly making moves in front. Just overall, that defense has been a lot better. And I said that in my preview in the first round. I said that, honestly, that playoff experience with those guys there, first off, will really help. And I feel like this blue line is the best one we've seen in the Matthews era. And I think the more we keep going through this, the more that keeps getting proven. So, 2 of the 3 games, 2 of the 3 series, 2 of the 3 playoff series, 2 of the 3 regular season series, 2 of the 3 playoff series, 2 of the 3 regular season series, 2 of the 3 playoff series, 2 of the 3 regular season series, 2 of the 3 playoff series, 2 of the 3 regular season series, 2 of the 3 playoff series, 2 of the 3 regular season series, 2 of the 3 playoff series, 2 of the 3 regular season series, 2 of the 3 playoff series, 2 of the 3 regular season series, 2 of the 3 playoff series, 2 of the 3 regular season series, 2 of the 3 playoff series, 2 of the 3 regular season series, 2 of the 3 playoff series, 2 of the 3 regular season series, 2 of the 3 playoff series, 2 of the 3 regular season series, 2 of the Now that I say that, Florida's overall just firepower is not to be scoffed at either. You have Sam Reinhart, 39 goals, 42 assists, 81 points, and they had 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in the playoffs this past year. So Sam Reinhart, nothing to scoff at. He had 55 goals last year in just the regular season alone. He has nearly 40 this year, and then 2 more in the playoffs. That kid is really good. He's not even really a kid anymore, to be honest. I feel so old. I'm 17, 18, but whatever. Reinhardt, very phenomenal player, is going to be a guy we're going to have to watch out for there in terms of the overall scoring from this team. Alexander Barkov, then up next, 20 goals, 51 assists, 71 points there too. Has 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points in the playoffs as well. I think overall, there's been nothing short of phenomenal from Barkov and Reinhardt, just two players who we know what they can do. They've proven themselves and have been very entertaining here throughout this stretch for sure. And then Matthew Tkachuk, who missed a lot of the year, was still third in scoring, but comes back and lights it up in the playoffs. 22 goals, 35 assists, 57 points. He had 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points in the playoffs there as well. So overall, Tkachuk doing phenomenal work there too. Carter Verhaeghe, 20 goals, 33 assists, 53 points, and then 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points in the playoffs. Verhaeghe kind of not really doing that great in the playoffs. He's still been all right, but overall, Florida's been really a team type of scoring. You look at their numbers, like you have points spread all up and down the lineup, and just overall, I think Verhaeghe was just one of the players that just didn't get a ton of points in this series, and that's okay. Who cares? You won the round. It doesn't really matter. If he comes into the second round, though, and gets 0 points and Florida loses, maybe you have a conversation, but overall, I don't know. Sam Bennett, then, 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points in the playoffs. He had 25 goals, 26 assists, 51 points in the regular season. So overall, Florida, they are nothing to scoff at. This is a team that won a championship for a reason. They are a team that has won it before. They have that experience. Toronto has only been to the second round once in this whole entire core. I know there's players in here who have been further, but really overall, this is the only experience they've really had outside of that last year. And Florida's been to 2 straight Cup finals and has been on plenty of runs in recent years. So that is something you're going to have to look at there. And again, I said it with Ottawa and Toronto. I'll say it again here. Playoff experience does matter. And I think the Panthers, even though the Leafs have lost in the first round so many times, the Panthers have more experience in these type of games than the Maple Leafs do. Now, you look at the other guys on Florida who are doing pretty good. Anton Lundell, 5 points. Lundell's been a phenomenal player too. Louis Doranen, 5 points too. E2 Louis Doranen has been a phenomenal player on that third line. He's been somebody who I don't think really gets enough recognition, if we're being honest. And then Brad Marchand, 4 points too. Marchand, deadline player, has been great as well. And as well as that too, Bruins fans, if you're listening here, you're probably rooting for no team in this series, but you should be rooting for Florida in a sense where if they make it to the third round and Marchand plays like I think a game or 2 more, they will get that first round pick. So that's a big positive there with Boston for sure. But overall, you're not really thinking about that. You want these teams to lose. And then obviously too, I want to give credit. I don't have him on my list here, but I just remembered him. Nate Schmidt as well has been phenomenal for me. I think I've done a couple of watch of Nordic streams this year with Florida. Schmidt has scored some goals, and I'm just like, what are we doing? How are you scoring? Like Nate Schmidt has been in the league for so long, and here he is popping off goals with Florida. He's on a league minimum deal, I'm pretty sure. Just phenomenal stuff for sure. Now, one final thing is the goaltending. So you have Anthony Stolarz, who is in net for Toronto, and Sergei Bobrovsky, who is in net for Florida. First off, Stolarz, 21, 8, and 3, a 2.14 and a .926 in the regular season. He had a 4-2 record in the playoffs with a 2.21 and a .901. So phenomenal numbers there from Stolarz, and those are way better numbers than what we saw from Samsonov last year, from what we saw from Jack Campbell a couple years ago. These numbers are something we have really never seen before. And one of the biggest problems that was with Toronto, and again, I feel like I say that so much, but one of the problems they had was the goaltending. The goaltending was an issue through some of these series they played where the goaltending just wasn't good enough. Like last year, Samsonov shit the bed through a lot of those games. They bring in Wall, things get better, but overall it wasn't great. Stolarz has been good every game of this series, and there really hasn't been a question of, oh, should they pull him? No. I know, like, in Game 6, there were thoughts. I'm like, why? Why are you thinking that? Like, if there's one person you should blame after Game 5, it's not Stolarz. It's not. So, yeah, Stolarz has been phenomenal in this series. Joseph Wall, too, is the backup. I think if, Stolarz does end up going down with injury or Stolarz kind of has a shit game or plays bad 2 games in a row, you can bring in Joseph Wall and maybe try him out there a little bit. So that's the advantage that Toronto has that Florida may really not, if we're being honest. And then Sergei Bobrovsky as well, 33, 19, and 2, a 2.41 and a .906 in the regular season. In the playoffs, a 4-1 record, a 2.21 and a .901. So that's identical records right there. These are two identical goaltenders. I would give the advantage to Bobrovsky, even though I do think Stolarz is playing better just overall. I think Bobrovsky has that playoff experience and just he's an absolute animal, and I think that we know what he's capable of and what he can do. But yeah, they have Vanacek as their backup too. I'm not intrigued to see Vanacek. I don't think we're going to see him that much in this series. He's kind of just sitting back and enjoying the ride, if we're being honest with you. I think that's what he's there for. But overall, this series will be fun. I'm going to enjoy this series a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to play out. My prediction, I have Florida in 6. I really would like to pick Toronto. I want to see Toronto go on a deep run. It's been forever since we've seen them go on a deep run, that being, and I know how that feels. But I think the Florida Panthers are just a better team. I'm not doubting them this time around whatsoever. I'm going with them this time through this playoff run. I know I picked Tampa in my last round. I'm not doing that again. I'm picking Florida here. I just think they have a better core. They have a more constructed blue line. And I think overall, like, you got to get through all that toughness and hitting and physicality, and then the defensemen, as I stutter, and then as well as that too, the goaltending too, and Bobrovsky. You go through all that, and you got to get through Sergei Bobrovsky. So I'm going with Florida in 6. We'll know your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video down below. Please consider subscribing. We will have Game 1 tonight of Toronto versus Florida streamed on the YouTube channel, as well as that too. Watch with Nordic, as well as that tonight here as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.